This fall, our local home brewers group had an Oktoberfest party, and I made pretzels to bring along. I started with about a tablespoon of dry yeast and used a Belgian-style ale that I had brewed earlier in the year to hydrate it. In fact, I used my entire bottle of beer at room temperature for all the liquid in this recipe. I replaced the water with the beer, and you ended up tasting it really nicely in the finished product. So, after it was all hydrated and ready to go, I started with the dry ingredients. 1, 2, 3 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of cake and pastry flour went into the mixing bowl along with about a tablespoon of salt. And then into the stand mixer it went. By this point the yeast was well hydrated, so I took the yeast and the beer over and added it to the dry ingredients in the mixer. Now, if you were mixing by hand, you were supposed to mix it for about 5 minutes. I didn't do it that long, but I did let the stand mixer mix the dough thoroughly. When it was all done, I separated it into 12 pieces and rolled them into little balls and set them to rest. While the dough was resting, I added about a half a cup of baking soda to some water in a saucepan and warmed it up on the stove. And this was to give the pretzels a bath before baking. The next step was taking the balls of dough and rolling them into long snakes so that I could twist them into pretzel shapes. Now the snakes had to be about 1 meter long, so what I did was I started by rolling them into about half-meter long snakes, and then I would set them aside and let them rest a little bit. The dough liked to kind of spring back, so I found that by doing a half-meter at a time and letting them rest, it was easier to get the 1 meter long snake that you see right here. Honestly, it didn't take long before I got pretty good at twisting up a pretzel, not like here. My advice is make sure your snakes are long and skinny, and make sure your pretzels are big and wide and loopy. At this point, you throw them into the bath of baking soda and warm water. Now traditionally this bath is a bath of lye in warm water, and it's something that is done with bagels as well. But seeing as I didn't want to kill anybody, it just got about a 20-second bath in the baking soda and then off to the parchment paper for salting. I had some nice coarse salt to add to the top of the pretzels before they went in the oven. And they went into the oven for about 8 minutes. Now the pretzels can burn, so keep a good eye on them. And if you do, you will have lovely looking pretzels like mine. Look at, they puffed up, delicious. When you crack them open, you could smell the beer in them, you could taste it. It was steamy, it was warm, it was tasty. They were delicious pretzels.